Okay, so my name is Caitlin Culhane. I'm going to be presenting on dyscalculia today. So to begin, what exactly is dyscalculia? Obviously, it's a math disorder, but you can see by my background. So just to break down the word for you, this means difficulty, and calcula comes from the Latin word calcularis, which means to count or calculations. So if you put it all together, it basically means difficulty with math, or it's also known as math learning disorder, or math dyslexia. The dictionary actually defines it as a severe difficulty in making arithmetical calculations as a result of a brain disorder. So basically, people that have this disorder have trouble with the intuitive understanding of a number sense. So even babies, when they're born, they have a concept of groups of numbers. But people that have this just have trouble understanding that three shoes, three cakes, three cars, that the three all represents a quantity of something. They can't separate that from the whole problem. So in general, they just have trouble with math concepts and they don't understand basic math facts. If anything, they use a lot of memorization to get by, but as you'll see later on in life, as math gets more difficult, they have more trouble with memorizing because not everything can be memorized. They also don't understand logic behind math. So they might know what to do in a question, but they don't exactly understand why they're doing it, or the opposite. They know why they're doing something, but they don't know what they have to do to come up with that answer. So this disorder has only recently been studied within the last 15 years or so, and it's estimated that about 3 to 7% of elementary school kids have this disorder. So what are the causes exactly? Well, the causes aren't exactly known because, like I said, there hasn't been much research done. But one thought is that it's genetic. It's more common in some families than in others, and it's also been shown that usually if a parent or sibling has it, usually it's linked someone else in the family has it as well. So there is some kind of genetic connection there. I know they're not completely sure what it is. Another factor is the environment. So dyscalculia has also been linked to alcohol in the womb, and it's also been linked to premature birth and birth weight, which are related to each other regardless. Another thing is brain development and injury. So injury can result in what's called acquired dyscalculia, is when someone didn't have it in the first place, and then all of a sudden they hit their head really hard. I don't know, they get a concussion, and they wake up, and all of a sudden they have trouble with math. I guess just like someone can get hit in the head really hard with a bottle, and all of a sudden they're Rain Man, the opposite can happen. So it's also been linked to various other syndromes. So it's been linked to Fragile X syndrome, it's been linked to fetal alcohol syndrome, it's also been linked to Turner syndrome, which just something that I noticed in general is that these are all X chromosome related problems. So there might be some kind of relationship there, not really sure. But it is thought that the disorder is on the 22nd chromosome, the 11th location. So they're doing a lot of research right now on that chromosome to figure out what exactly it is that triggers the problem there. People with dyscalculia also have reduced gray matter in their brain. Gray matter is a major component of your central nervous system, and it contributes a lot to your cognitive ability. So if you have less of it, there's less of a connection going between your brain and what you're seeing on the paper and exactly how to process that information. So right there, that's chromosome number 22. That's your culprit causing all these math problems. So what are some warning signs? Well, the warning signs vary from age group to age group. So the first one is pre-K to kindergarten. So people in pre-K to kindergarten have trouble remembering numbers. They have delayed counting abilities. They count out of order. They skip numbers. They have trouble connecting symbols with words. They have trouble applying a number to a situation. They have trouble with patterns, and they avoid counting games. So for example, these students might not understand the difference between the number 7, the word 7, and 7 physical objects. They can't connect all 3 of those together. And in regards to patterns, they have trouble with sizes, with shapes, with colors. It's not just strictly A, B, A, B. They don't understand any of it. As for games like Candyland, Risk, Yahtzee, anything that's going to involve counting, they're going to try to get out of it somehow. And another thing they look at with pre-K and kindergarten is their ability to use numbers in context. So if there's a group of 3 balls on the table, can they say there's 3 balls over there, or do they just say there's balls over there? So that's something they look at with them. Moving on to elementary and middle school, they have similar symptoms. They have difficulty with numbers, signs, and symbols. They have trouble recalling basic arithmetic facts. They don't use advanced math strategies. Their numbers aren't written clearly, and they have trouble deciding how to solve a math problem. They also have difficulty with words related to math. So one example of this is they might have memorized 2 plus 4 equals 6, but the second you flip it around to 4 plus 2, it's chaos. They don't understand the difference. So they also have trouble with words like greater than, less than, and they have trouble with them more than just in math context. They're also outside of math. They have trouble with them. Then moving on to high school. They have trouble with real-world applications of math. This is where it begins to get a little bit more serious. They have trouble with their money and calculating percentage off of things. Even something as simple as cooking, where you need temperatures, you need to measure your ingredients. They have trouble with all of these things. Calculating tips, change. They also have trouble with graphing, and they also have trouble using multiple ways to solve a problem. Some other signs are trouble telling right from left, a poor sense of direction, trouble remembering phone numbers, difficulty telling time, and they also avoid games and activities that involve speed, distance, keeping score, or time. So some other things that tie into their sense of direction is they'll have difficulty reading maps, or part of this is related to the fact that they can't really picture different objects that are 3D from different angles. So this is why they might have trouble riding a bike or driving, because they can't picture what's around the corner or the shape of the building. You might also notice that these students have terrible coordination. So there's a lack of connection from the brain to their eyes. This makes them extremely clumsy. And in regards to time, they have no concept of time at all. So a minute means nothing with them. So these students also have trouble keeping a schedule, and they also have trouble estimating how much time has passed. So here are some tests for dyscalculia that we'll go over in a minute, right? After I talk about how to diagnose it. So your first step is to go to your pediatrician. So first you want to get a basic medical exam, because you want to make sure that this is a medical problem, not just your child is just having a little trouble with one subject in math. Your pediatrician should be aware that this is common in premature birth, but it's also linked to ADHD. So something that your doctor wants to do is any existing disorders need to be under control first, because for all you know, they might have trouble in math because they can't focus, which is due to ADHD. But if the ADHD was under control, they might do better in math. So in turn, it might not even be dyscalculia. But so that's what they need to do. They need to get all the other disorders under control first, so they can specifically test for math. So the job of your pediatrician is to refer the student to a neurologist or an educational psychologist. After that, they go to the educational professional, and this is where they specifically test them to see which skills they struggle with in math. So after that, they're going to run a couple different tests. So I'll give you these tests as well. Let's see how you do. So the first one, choose the larger amount. People with dyscalculia will have trouble using the word larger. So they're going to have trouble with this. Hopefully you got the right answer and won. We'll see. If not, we might have to get you tested. The second test, how fast can you count these dots? People that have dyscalculia will individually put their finger to the screen and count each dot one by one. So most other people will group and say, oh, there's 3, there's 2, and just kind of add them up all together in their head. But they don't do this. So studies show that most people, people with dyscalculia and people without it, will do the same until you get to numbers about 10. After that, there's like a severe drop-off with how poorly they do and how long it takes them. And last, here we go again with our context. The word larger. Taller, they have no trouble telling the difference. It's not really a math word. You don't use taller too much in math. So they got it right just as many times as someone without dyscalculia. But which one is greater? They had trouble doing that, even though it's basically the same question. So how to accommodate dyscalculia? So in the classroom, speak about how to solve problems. Review previous knowledge before beginning a new topic. Allow students to draw sketches or charts for problems. Use graph paper and provide a list of formulas and let them use manipulatives. These students do much better with hands-on activities and visual work rather than just solving math problems. So it's important that they have different forms of media to look at, to play with, different things like that, so they can get a better idea of what exactly is math, what is the number 3, because it's such an abstract topic that they need to physically be able to see and hold, this is what 3 means. For homework, separate numbers, problems, and word problems. Highlight or circle keywords and numbers on word problems. So basically, you don't want to overwhelm the student. If they look at a piece of paper and there's 50 math questions on there and they already know that they struggle with math, they're going to just have anxiety over this. So it's important that you break this down so it doesn't look as overwhelming. Also, they have of math, that's why you want to circle keywords. So you know exactly what they're looking for and how to use it. And finally, tests. Extra time on tests, charts or facts and multiplication facts, calculator when not being tested on computations, extra space for work, and break test into sections. Again, using manipulatives and check on the student often. So pretty basic accommodations. So after high school accommodations, we have DARE, which is the Disability Access Route to Education. And basically this says that the student will not achieve passing points due to a learning disability, but they believe that these students will still succeed in college if they were graded on a different scale. So what they might do is, if the student's having trouble with math, instead of getting them scored from an A to an F, they just get a pass or fail. That's the way their 70 isn't affecting their GPA. They also get common education supports, which are note takers, materials in other formats, and very basic needs that we already went over. Also, something they do is chunking, which is, let's say, one semester of Calculus 1. They might have Calculus 1, but it might be spread over the period of a year, so they have more time to digest the information. And finally, career accommodations, equal opportunity employer. Okay, this is a little controversial because while they do say they're equal opportunity employer, if the student cannot do the hard skills, which are basically the skills that are needed to perform the job, then they have the right to not hire them, regardless if they have a learning disability or not. Soft skills are the jobs that they can kind of overlook a little bit more. Those are more like personality skills and things like that. So if the student can perform the job, then they can pretty much go into any field. And now with technology, it's getting easier and easier for them to go into other fields. And finally, some classroom needs. They need small group one-to-one help. They need large posters with important concepts on them. This is something you should have for all classes. For other students, it might just be like a reinforcer, but for them, it's going to be a constant reminder for basic formulas that they need. You need flowcharts to clarify procedures, and you should use color markers for different steps in solving problems. So color coding is something that would be really helpful with students with dyscalculia. Personal and family needs. They have low self-esteem. This comes to a lot with poor sense of direction, different things like that. So their self-esteem is going to be lower. So it's important that you're just supportive of them. They need coping methods for anxiety. They need guidance with time management, help with cooking, help with driving, and assistance with directions, which are all things we already touched upon. And dyscalculia has also been shown to be related to dyslexia, ADHD, math anxiety, and other genetic disorders. So if they have one of them, let's see, where am I? No. Okay, for dyslexia, 43 to 65% of kids that have math disabilities also have a reading disability. So there is a high chance that if they have dyslexia, they will have dyscalculia. And that's my sources. And that's the end.
Good. The I've seen people suggest that a good here, okay, here an echo. A good accommodation is if you take if you've got like 10 math problems, put one math problem per page, and you do that over 10 pages rather than making it on on one page.
Yeah, because it's overwhelming for anybody to see that many questions on a page. And now somebody who has math anxiety in the first place, that's just going to throw them, and so automatically their brain's just going to shut down to it.
Good. All right, that's awesome.
Okay.
So the only thing you need to do is to post the link on Blackboard where your YouTube ends up, and
Okay.
that's it. I liked how this was able to work nice because I think we're in real time where that what's going up to YouTube is there's not a big delay
Mhm.
based on what I'm seeing. I'm seeing myself on your screen, and it doesn't look like it's too big of a delay.
Yeah, no, I can like you're talking pretty much is lining up like with your mouth moving and whatnot. I don't know. My screen just looks like an eternity of screen shares.
Yeah.
So,
All
but
right.
it is
Good.
what it is.
Yeah. Good. Very
Okay.
well done. That's it. No final. Provided everything else is done, then you're done. So, enjoy the summer. You're job hunting, right, for September?
Kinda. I'm
Okay.
student teaching in September,
Oh,
so
that's right.
that's what I'm
Okay.
doing right now.
And where are you student
Yeah,
teaching?
in West New York.
Okay.
So
Okay.
then, come December, I'll be hunting.
Okay. Good. All right. Well, if I can do anything for you, let me know. Um, and that's it. Provide all your work's done. You're done. Enjoy the rest of the summer.
Okay. Good. Sounds good. You too.
All right. Thanks, Caitlin.
Bye.